welcome to another episode of Partners in Ovation. Today, I am so excited about our guest. His name is Alex Ebben, and he runs Brighton Hospice Care. And you're going to just love this man. He is one of our number one referrals when it comes to hospice care. And what we're going to find out about today is a little bit about what hospice really is, and we're going to dispel some of the rumors that maybe you've heard about. So let's get up close and personal with Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hello, Trish. I appreciate this.
Oh, we're so happy you're here.
And I am very excited to be here as well.
Excellent. Well, so many people really misunderstand hospice. And I want you to tell us what hospice is and what is Brighton's philosophy that is specifically about hospice care.
Sure. So hospice, in a nutshell, its goal is really to improve the overall quality of someone's, remaining few last months, in doing that with care, comfort, and dignity, in a residence or a patient's current setting, whether that be home, skilled nursing, assisted living, accomplishing that within that setting. Now, hospice is an incredible benefit. It provides many wonderful things, which we'll get into. But Brighton's philosophy towards hospice is one that is really unique and special in a lot of ways. The first of which, Brighton's philosophy and focus is really on raising the industry standard that is set forth by Medicare, hospice being a Medicare benefit. It's raising that industry standard by providing the maximum possible care via physically, emotionally, and spiritually for a loved one and their family members.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hospice is a beautiful thing.
What are some of the ways that Ovation and Brighton work together to provide for our residents?
Yeah, so, hospice is not just what you would think in the immediate, right? The care, the clinical aspect in which, our team collaboratively is providing for an individual within a facility, community like High Point. There is that aspect of it, and that is a large piece of it, but there's so much more than that. Communication and collaboration between our two entities, as well as the family involved and the residents, first and foremost, is of utmost importance. There are additional services in which hospice can provide, of which are in-service opportunities. And those in-service opportunities come in the form of education. We have many bright minds at Brighton Hospice, of which are, nurses, CNAs, chaplains, social workers, who love what they do. Hospice is their life, okay? So those in-service opportunities are a way for us to collaborate outside of those glaring and traditional means with a community like High Point. We can come in and speak to a number of different topics, death and dying and bereavement, med management. We can come in and cater those in-service and education opportunities to your staff here, whether it be your caregivers or your nurses, and get family members, loved ones of the community involved as well. Say you have a monthly meeting in which you invite family in for a sit down and discuss a topic. Bring hospice in. We could speak to Hospice 101 and talk about kind of what we do and what that looks like, because the education aspect is almost as important as the care in which we provide. There's a stigma that surrounds hospice, right? You hear the H word and all of a sudden it's no thanks, no. But when hospice is utilized and activated at an early stage, it can be a great benefit to not only the individual in which we're caring for, but their loved ones, their family, and the community as well in which we partner with, like High Point.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. One of the things that I've seen so much of is that when we talk about hospice, immediately people go to death and dying. And so dispelling that is you really are much more of a supportive service,
Right.
which is remarkable.
Right. Yeah, this is, hospice, it's a team effort, right? It's a collaborative effort, not only with community, but with us as a provider coming in and providing, assistance, an additional level of care if an individual qualifies for it.
It's wonderful. When do you think, Alex, is the right time to contact Brighton Hospice?
Yeah, so, we get that question quite often, and there's no, one, appropriate time over another or glaring time. But, hospice as a benefit really focuses on comfort as opposed to treatment, right? It's a kind of a mentality towards it. And what I mean by comfort versus treatment, someone who may be appropriate or getting to that point in which hospice could be of benefit to an individual would be someone who's not seeking aggressive treatment for something, anymore, right? They want to remain in their current setting, just with comfort measures, and not have to go back and forth to the hospital for small things. That would be an individual that it would be, potentially appropriate for hospice services. So, keeping that in mind, focusing on comfort as opposed to treatment, that's a time in which an individual or family can really reach out or start thinking about hospice. Trish, oftentimes individuals on service with us, we'll have a loved one come up to us, 2 weeks later, a month later, after they've been on service with us for some time, and say, we wish we would have done this so much earlier, right? A lot sooner. The benefit is real, it exists, and it's a wonderful thing if tapped into at an earlier stage.
Which is so great. And the fact that our residents can stay in their beautiful apartments is...
Well, why would you want to leave here?
Exactly. Well, you wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't.
Right.
And I love that. One of my funniest stories is that people always think that hospice is just for death and dying, but sometimes they just need supportive services. So
Right.
What are some of those situations?
Yeah, so, in hospice, it goes back to kind of the stigma that surrounds hospice, right? It's so much more than just end of life or what you would think of hospice being. Those supportive services, those chaplaincy services in which we offer, for spiritual guidance, if that's something you seek. We have pet therapies and music therapies and all these other ancillary things that are included in that hospice benefit that can be of support and are offered under that hospice benefit to families and loved ones.
So they come in too.
Correct.
All your others.
They have the ability.
Which is so beautiful. So besides getting everything that High Point has to offer,
Right.
then Brighton has, a ton more.
Yep.
So together we are just a great
Great
collaboration.
team.
Yeah,
Great
we
partner.
really are. We've had a good time working together.
Yeah.
How's hospice covered? How does the payment work?
Yeah, so great question. As I alluded to before, hospice is a Medicare benefit. It's covered via Medicare, Medicaid, and some private insurances as well have a hospice benefit. We have a team of individuals that do this on a regular basis that can look into that hospice qualification as it relates to insurance. But if one qualifies for hospice and is appropriate for hospice, there are a number of things that come with that benefit, right? Three huge things are the care, the clinical aspect of things. And that's one of the things that Brighton really prides themselves on with regard to industry, is going above and beyond with regard to clinical care. Medicare sets forth some pretty low standards. we maximize the amount of care in which we provide. Some of those standards are, per Medicare, for us to follow guidance-wise, are nursing visits. Typically, industry-wise, we see once a week you'll get a nurse from most providers. Brighton goes above and beyond that, sends in a nurse 2 to 3 times a week. With CNAs, industry basically says 2 to 3 times you'll get a CNA provided for a loved one. And Brighton says, forget that. In end-of-life care, we should be going above and beyond. We shouldn't just be hitting those minimums that are set forth. And Brighton sends out CNAs 5 days a week, up to 5 days a week for every single resident. So the first big thing that is wrapped in that hospice benefit is the clinical aspect. You're getting our team coming in, collaborating with your community and your staff here to provide the best possible care and for your loved one and your family member. You're getting supplies taken care of underneath that benefit that is hospice. So anything that may be needed for that individual is covered 100% as well, supplies-wise. And then the third thing is equipment. We call it DME, durable medical equipment. Things like beds, mattresses, lifts, chairs.
Wow.
That's all wrapped into the hospice benefit as well, covered 100%.
So everything comes with that.
Via Medicare, that benefit, right. So
that is really, people do not realize that.
Right.
Because they're thinking, how much is that going to be?
And the stigma that surrounds hospice, right?
And the stigma.
You could benefit from, if qualified, for service a lot earlier in the game.
Absolutely. And one of the nicest thing is because, High Point and Brighton have such a nice relationship that when we recognize some things in people that maybe they need the supportive services or they're getting towards that point that, maybe they do have to have extra support. It's really interesting because when I talk to the families, at first it's the big resistance, no, because they think automatically this is a death sentence.
Right.
And sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we celebrate, hospice.
Yes.
I mean, there can be individuals that thrive with hospice, right? And graduate off of hospice services, right?
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It's a really wonderful thing. One of my best stories is that when one of our residents went on hospice, the whole family thought she was near death, and everybody came in to visit her. And guess what? She lived another 2 years.
Yep.
I said, I have to remember that. That's a good way to get your family in.
There are many of those stories, right? It's a beautiful benefit that can be of great service to families, the individual, and communities.
Right. Now you have to tell us about this is one of my favorite parts because I do know all the players that come in here and I enjoy our relationships with them. So tell us something about all of your amazing team players.
Yeah, Brighton is an incredible organization. From ownership to the rest of the team, we're really given the opportunity to grow personally, career-wise, and it's an incredible thing. And that's everyone on the team. We have chaplains for supportive service. Our social workers, you'll be assigned a social worker, and they'll guide you through the process that is consents and admission, and just be there every step of the way for you. And then the clinical team, our team of CNAs and nurses, and NPs and our doctors.
Wow, lots of pieces.
They live and breathe, hospice. And they're really special, selfless people in this healthcare industry.
More heroes.
Yeah.
More heroes in the healthcare field.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So here's what I really want to know. How did you get into this business?
It's a great question.
What's your background?
Yeah, it's a great question. So prior to this, I worked for a local EMS provider, and I did relatively a similar thing, right? You know, worked with different local communities, skilled nursing, assisted living, hospital systems, in providing an option for, you know, ambulatory services in the community. And I did that for a long time and enjoyed it, loved the patient care aspect of it. And, you know, in my experience with that for 10 plus years, I had many, you know, crossings with hospice, right? Or hospice patients and individuals. And I just was always struck by those caring for hospice, right? At that point in a person's journey, that stage in a person's life, the care staff and the team, you know, what they did and what that looked like. And it was always in the back of my mind. So personally, I wasn't even looking for another opportunity. And Brighton came along almost 2 years ago now and just blew me away with their mission, their message, and really their focus towards this aspect of healthcare. And I jumped.
You were hooked.
I was hooked.
I can feel your passion, which is wonderful.
Jumped. And in reflection, before I moved over to hospice, you know, I really looked at my life and work and school, and my first job ever I walked to at 14 or 15, however many years ago that was a local community. It was a local nursing community. And I worked in dietary, you know, delivering trays to residents. And, you know, 2 years ago when I came over to Brighton, I like, you know, in some fashion, through schooling and through career, I've always been attached to the healthcare aspect and the caring aspect of people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still am to this day.
I love it. I love it. And we still have openings in dietary, by the way.
Okay. I'm skilled in
You're
that.
totally skilled.
Yeah.
That's how I started out too,
Yeah.
in a nursing home. That is fantastic. Tell me a fun fact about you.
A fun fact about me.
Fact.
Okay.
Something that we don't know about Alex.
Something you do not know about me. So I'll just talk about my kids. You know,
I love that.
Yeah,
How many?
I have a 4-year-old as of yesterday.
Oh, mazel tov.
Josephine.
Okay.
And I have a 1-year-old on January 30th, Oliver. So
Brand new.
brand new. Wow. Brand new. So yeah, fun fact about me is, you know, my kids. I love them.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have any interesting hobbies that you do? Well, right now you're raising kids.
If you were to ask my wife,
Yeah,
she would tell you that I have too many hobbies and that I should focus on mastering one. And my response to her is, how am I going to know what everything else is like?
I love it. Well, it's
Right?
lifelong learning. I
Yeah,
totally agree with that.
Exactly.
So what are you doing right now? Like, what's your number one hobby?
Right now, I'm going around to, you know, local communities, assisted living, skilled nursing, and I'm doing these talk shows, and I'm really into these.
I love it. Should we take our show on the road?
This being my favorite. Yeah, this being my favorite. So,
we love that. We might get more than 7 likes today.
Yeah.
Having you as a guest could up my numbers.
Hey, I think so. But ultimately, I'm just looking forward to getting back to traveling.
Yeah.
Hopefully in 2021.
Right,
So,
but we feel very hopeful.
Yeah.
Really, really hopeful. Alex, it has been a pleasure
Thank you,
to
Trish.
have you today.
Yep.
And that has been another episode of Partners in Ovation with my friend Alex Ebben. And if you have watched this, please post a like on our Facebook and LinkedIn, because we really do want to get more than 7 likes today. I'm looking for about 100. Thank you, everybody.